Everybody, it's Larry the GM, and we are here at 4:30 to break down the ALCS Game 6 back in Houston. Oh, what a difference 4 or 5 days makes. And the Astros are up 3-2, playing for the chance to go back to where they belong, the World Series. So, folks, we're going to break down the game. But before we get into it, I'm going to ask you to do some things for me. Let's please like the video. If you're watching this on Twitter, I'm going to ask you, please go to the Larry the GM YouTube channel. It's the on Twitter and it's a reply to the posting of this article. Go find it. Go to the link on Twitter. Please like the video. While you're there, subscribe to the channel. Hey, comment on the video. That helps the YouTube algorithm as well. And please go to the Larry the GM website, like this video, like the article, and while you're there, subscribe to the website, and you will see at the bottom of this article and almost all the articles on the website the opportunity to go to the Patreon space where you can become a Patreon and get exclusive content, opportunities to do chats, and basically content before everybody else. So, guys, let's break down the game. First off, one other sales point. We're going to be on Twitter Space tonight at 6:30. So please join me up there. We will cover the game as we did through Game 5. We had a very lively space through Game 5. I went berserk when Altuve hit the home run. I had it up on the MLB app, which meant I was about 5 seconds ahead of everybody and about 20 seconds ahead of my TV, which is on the Roku, and it took time for me to actually see what I knew was going to happen, and I was going berserk the whole time. So please come join us on the Twitter space, and you'll enjoy it as we go. All right, so let's look at the numbers. So what's ahead of us in Game 6? So the Rangers have Nathan Eovaldi pitching against our Astros. The Astros went with the Brantley 2 lineup. Brantley hitting second, Bregman third, Alvarez, Abreu, Tucker. They're putting in Dubon, Pena, and Maldonado. I'm getting so good that I actually was able to predict this lineup 3 hours ago, or actually, about 3 hours ago, long before Dusty actually put it out there. I didn't have to change what I've already written, so I was I guess I was excited about that, but also I want to note something here. So in the black box here, this is the projected xwOBAs for this lineup versus the Rangers' Nathan Eovaldi. And you remember 319 is average. And you can see that Nathan Eovaldi is a very good pitcher, and he turns our all-star level, some of our all-star level Astros into not much more than an average hitter. Jordan Alvarez is a really great matchup for him. Alex Bregman's a good matchup. Kyle Tucker's a good matchup. But the best matchup versus Nathan Eovaldi is the one we're not taking advantage of because we don't have a place to go play Yonder Diaz because we insist on playing Martin Maldonado when Framber Valdez pitches. So we're giving up about, I believe it's, I think it's in this article. Yeah, we're giving up 0.021 xwOBA. You may think that's nothing, right? Well, what does that mean, Larry? Well, it means about 0.6 runs per game. This lineup, the way it lines out, would be predicted to score about 5 runs today. Now, of course, they won't face Nathan Eovaldi for 9 innings. At least let's hope not. But that's what that lineup would be predicted to score on average with that xwOBA of 329. But there's the lineup. There's the flaw in the lineup that we're not using Diaz. But overall, it's a pretty good lineup. I scored it a 7.5 because I always count off 2 points. If you don't use Diaz versus a right-handed pitcher, it's never a good situation. So they're good, but they're not as good as they could be, and that could be an issue tonight. So Jordan Alvarez is my predicted MVP for the Astros. So and by the way, guys, if you have questions as we go, please give them to me, and I'll address them at the end. So Jordan Alvarez is the MVP for the Astros tonight because of that higher expected WOBA than anybody else on the team. This further right column is where they've been so far in the postseason. So you can see the Astros have a lot of hitters that are pretty hot, and as part of the story of why Dubon's in there versus McCormick. He's not been bad. It's just that Dubon's been really hot. So that's Dusty's playing the hot player. There's not enough of a difference between the 315 Mauricio Dubon expected WOBA versus Nathan Eovaldi and the 321 for me to get that upset about the fact that it's Dubon in there versus McCormick. And this is not a night to be upset about that. Both players should do really close to about the same. All right, well, let's talk about the Rangers versus Framber Valdez. Now, this is, if you'll remember from Game 2, we talked about this is a challenging situation. You likewise will see that almost all their lineup is red. That means that those batters should do really well against that pitcher. And so you can see on average it's a 351. Now, as I told you, the Astros are 329 and the Rangers are 351. What does that mean? It means about this is a typo, guys. It's about 5.5 runs. I gotta go fix that. In fact, I can go tell you what it is right now. What is that? Go 351. 5.7. So that the Rangers would be expected to score 5.7 runs. Now you'll see why it would have been so important, because I told you the Astros lineup would be 350 versus, and the Rangers lineup is 351. Well, here's why I'm not freaking out about that. I don't think the Astros should be going into this game expecting Framber Valdez to pitch 7 innings. And if he is, it means that he's utilizing his breaking pitches and his off-speed pitches more than what one might have expected from his normal Remember, these numbers are built on the normal distribution of those pitchers during the season. So if Framber goes more breaking pitches, more off-speed pitches versus left-handed hitters, and more breaking pitches specifically versus right-handed hitters, he could improve on these numbers, because those are red pitches for him. That means it's a good pitch for Framber Valdez. Red is almost always good for the player that is being signaled to. All right, so what do I think is going to happen? Well, I think, as I described in the article, what I think think of Framber Valdez tonight as an extended opener, right? I believe he's going to go through the Rangers lineup one time, and then I think he's going to get back into this. He's going to get through the Simeon, Seager, and Grossman part of the lineup, and then I do not expect him to face Adolis Garcia, Mitch Garver, or Josh Jung, this portion of the lineup, a second time. And you see why. Those three players are deep red versus Framber Valdez, and there's actually a better option for the Astros to face the bottom 6 in this lineup. What I expect will happen is that they're going to be sitting at Robbie Grossman the second time up. So we hope it's the 4th inning, but maybe it's the 3rd inning. And they're going to say, okay, Robbie Grossman's up. Here's our main choices here. We're going to go Framber pitch to him. It's a 343 matchup. We have Brown come in at 393. That's not good. Or Urquidy come in at 360. So I think they will let Framber pitch to Robbie Grossman, because if they bring in a righty, the Rangers will respond with Evan Carter. That's what I gave you the Evan Carter number, because that's what would happen if the Astros pinch it. If the Astros brought in the right-handed pitcher to relieve Framber, they bring in the left-handed Evan Carter. But look at these numbers down further down in the lineup. So you see that this basically gold and silver means who's the best pitcher to face of these three. Who's the best pitcher to face that batter? And it's Brown, and it's Urquidy, and it's 2 Valdez's. But it's also Brown is the second best versus Jonah Heim. And if you look down here at the bottom of this, the average to these bottom 6 batters in the lineup, Hunter Brown is a better matchup for those. So what I think is going to happen is you're going to get Framber Valdez for first, 12 batters. Remember, we're in the postseason, and if they win, they've got like 4 days off to the World Series. If they lose, they got to play tomorrow. And I do not expect that they're going to use both Brown or Urquidy. It's going to be one or the other. Brown is the better matchup versus the bottom part of this lineup. So depending on the flow of the game, what's happened, what the score is like, they're going to make it choose between Urquidy at 343 or Brown at 333 over Valdez's 356 xwOBA versus this bottom six in the lineup. So let's say it's the third or the fourth inning. Those guys will face the bottom six. They'll get us through the fifth or the sixth, and then it'll be up to the best three or four in the bullpen. So what do I expect the game flow is going to look like? Under the best case scenario, we get Fromber shuts down those first 12, and everybody's going to be in a complete uproar. I'm telling you right now, everybody will make complete uproar if Fromber gets through those first 12 batters and they pull him for Hunter Brown. But I'm telling you, before it happens, if it's a 1 or 2-0 game and Fromber did a really good job, that's exactly what they should do. They should bring Hunter Brown in. Now, if it's a 7-0 game, forget all of that. You're going to go a whole another round through the lineup. And if it's a 3-0 game, they probably go through the lineup again, because at that point it'll be a performance-based situation with Fromber. He's doing well, let him pitch. But if it's close, if it's 0-0, if it's 1-1, they are going to bring in Hunter Brown, and let's hope we get 2 innings. So if we're sitting at the end of 6, and Hunter Brown and Fromber Valdez have shut this team down, the Rangers down, then it'll literally be up to Neris, Abreu, and Presley to bring it home. Okay? Now, what's more likely? It's more likely that Fromber gets through about 3 full innings, gives up a run or two, because that's how challenging that matchup is. Hunter Brown gets through those 6 batters, but he gives up a run or bends but doesn't break. So then we're in the middle of the 5th inning. I think they'll bring in Maton, because Maton's a better matchup through the whole rest of the lineup, depending exactly where they are. It could be somebody else, but I think it's going to be Maton. Then they'll go to Neris, and then Abreu, and then the Presley. I expect it's going to be a very much that, and I'll show you this in a minute. The Astros bullpen is very well rested. Yes, I'm basically calling for the fact we're going to use almost all of our premium bullpen, but if we have to use them 2 days in a row, we'll use them 2 days in a row. Now, if it's a situation where the Astros are behind, they're not going to do this. This is the Astros are either slightly ahead or are good enough ahead that you'd want to do this. In the worst case scenario, Fromber gets lit up and only gets through 2 innings. Brown gets lit up, only gets through 1 inning. Then I think the Astros are going to call Uncle, and they're going to bring in France and see how long he can go. They're going to bring in Blanco, see how long he can go. Then they'll use Montero, they'll use Stanek, and they'll hope that by the time they get through all that, the game's over, and we'll fight them on the 7th, fight them another day in Game 7, or we will come back and we'll switch modes back into the premium bullpen. So I know I got some people here. Did that make sense, guys? Do you understand what I'm talking about? Like, if you look at the matchups, this green table is probably the one the best to understand. There's no with Fromber Valdez, really a significant matchup issue for a lot of these batters. I believe that they're going to have a very quick hook for Fromber, just because it was so bad in Game 2. And I think it's going to be it could be just as challenging. Now, at the beginning of this season, or beginning of this series, I said, I think Fromber's going to have premium stuff in one of these starts. Well, it certainly wasn't Game 2. So Fromber could make me look like a fool for saying all this, and he's just going to come in and wipe them out. His breaking pitches are going to be so good tonight, and his fastball is going to be better than normal, and he's going to get through the Rangers lineup, and he's going to make us all happy, and it'll be a party all night. That's much more what I'd like to see. I'm just preparing this fan base based on this matchup, it's a really struggling, challenging matchup for Framber Valdez, and I think it's Brown and Cooper. Brown is much better than JP France, and I can show you on the summary table right here why that is. So this is Hunter Brown. His total through the lineup is 353, but a lot of that is the top part. He's not very good again. Look at JP France is the column right to the left of Hunter Brown, and this is also in the xwOBA article for the whole series. So you can go find this on the website. This very table. You see all the red. That means and JP France pitched really, really good earlier in the series. I guess that was game 2, right? And so he had his stuff. Now he had a long break before he pitched, and that really may be the issue. These numbers are based on the total season JP France, and JP France with a lot of rest, probably better the JP France we've seen in July, August, and September when he was really struggling and is worn out. But JP France is a 386, much worse than Framber's 351 or Hunter Brown's 353. Framber's a little better in these top 3 than Hunter Brown is, and Hunter Brown is better in the bottom 6 than Framber Valdez, and both of them are better than JP France. Now you can make an argument JP France could get through, the Donaheims, the Nathaniel Lowe, and Tavares portion of the lineup. Could use them for that, but that means you're basically using them for an inning. So I don't know. Did that make sense, Cooper? But yes, Brown's numbers are better than France and better than Urquidy through that portion of the lineup. So that's why I wrote what I did about. That's why I wrote this. That's why I put this green table in the article, guys. And so what? Understand if and Framber could pitch way better and make all this mute, and that's what I expected at the beginning of the series. But quite frankly, guys, game 2 scared me, and I don't know that Framber. This is just a bad matchup for Framber. This doesn't mean Framber's bad, terrible. We'll get a lineup with with the hitters that don't profile like this, and Framber could be a lot better. Okay, this the way the matchup works. So let's talk about where these pitching staffs sit coming into game 6, because one of the reasons I really thought the Astros were going to win game 5, number one, they had a starting pitching advantage, right? But number 2 is you can see all the X's that the Rangers had for game 5. Going into game 6, these two staffs, basically the only pitcher that is not available for game 6 and is Justin Verlander. And the only pitcher not available for the Texas Rangers is Jordan Montgomery. And it's possible that Dana Dunning is they're probably not going to pitch Dana Dunning on 2 days after 63 pitches, but theoretically he could be used, but he's not going to. And so there you go with the pitching staffs are even. The starting pitching advantage is really skews to the Rangers with Nathan Eovaldi over Framber Valdez, just from a matchup standpoint. I think the Rangers are probably going to win this game, but I will tell you, if Framber has his stuff, he could shut down the Rangers, and if the Astros don't let it get out of control, we could be talking like a 4-3 game. And then at that point, it's just like, all bets are off. All right, so guys, that's the preview. Went a little longer than I really wanted to, but I wanted to break that down for you guys. Please come back and join me on the Twitter space at 6:30. You've got content to read until then. If you want to have a little interesting snark for me, go read the open letter to Arlington. I addressed some things. I was an Arlington boy in high school and junior high, so I know what I know my people I'm talking to in Arlington. Got out of there, go to college, and I came to Houston to work professionally. And in case people in Arlington were like, "Oh, he's a fair weather fan," I moved to the Houston area for my full-time employment in 1989, guys. So some of the people saying that to me weren't even born at that point. So let's get a little salty with their snark. So guys, let's see what happens. Join me and we will talk through the individual matchups that'll look like this. We'll get the relievers out. We'll talk about in on the Twitter space. We'll talk about pitch types, what they should be pitching to Alex Bregman, what advantages Alex Bregman's got. You know, we'll break it down player by player as we go through the night. As long as we're having some fun with that, and we'll see where it takes us. And if it takes us to a late inning home run, be prepared for Larry the GM to lose his voice again. As I think I screamed home run 30 times in a row when Altuve shot the lights out in Arlington. So guys, all right, guys, have a good night. We'll talk to you later. See you on Twitter Space, and let's get to Evaldi. I'd love to see us get to Evaldi Cooper. This is not like super advantageous. There's ways. Like let me address this for you because you said that, Cooper. There's way if they can get Evaldi's breaking stuff and his off speed stuff cannot be thrown for strikes, and he has to bring his fastballs. The Astros could have a really good night. So you tell me how good Evaldi is going to be at getting his non-fastballs over, and I can tell you what kind of night it's going to be. But let's see what happens. All right, guys. And we'll be looking for that on the Twitter space together. All right. Have a good night.